At the beginning, everything feels familiar enough that you convince yourself nothing is wrong. The routines are still there. The messages still come. The connection hasn't vanished, only softened. But that softness carries a weight, and over time, it becomes impossible to ignore. One of the earliest signs is how effort quietly changes. Not in a dramatic way, not with arguments or distance you can point to, but in the smallest details. Replies arrive later than usual. Words lose their warmth. Conversations end faster than they once did. You start replaying messages in your head, wondering if you're reading too much into them, even though your intuition is already whispering the truth. Emotional presence begins to slip. When you speak, they listen, but not fully. Their attention feels divided, like part of them is elsewhere. You notice it in their eyes, in the pauses, in the way they respond without really engaging. The connection that once felt alive now feels like something being maintained out of habit. Time becomes a sensitive subject. They are suddenly busy in ways they never were before. Plans feel uncertain. Dates are postponed. Spontaneity disappears. When you do spend time together, it feels shorter, rushed, or distracted. You start adjusting your expectations, telling yourself you're being understanding, even as you feel yourself being slowly edged out. Affection changes in a way that's hard to explain but easy to feel. Touch becomes less frequent and less intentional. Compliments stop coming. The warmth in their voice fades. It's not rejection, but it's not desire either. It's neutrality, and neutrality hurts more than anger ever could. Conversations shift toward the surface. Deep talks are avoided. Emotional topics are brushed aside or met with discomfort. When you bring up concerns, you're met with defensiveness or silence. You begin to feel like expressing your feelings is inconvenient, like your emotions are too much for someone who once welcomed them. Another sign shows up in how conflicts are handled. Disagreements no longer lead to resolution. Instead of working things through, they withdraw. Problems are left hanging in the air, unresolved, unspoken, slowly piling up. It becomes clear they would rather avoid discomfort than invest in fixing what's breaking. Irritation replaces patience. Small things you do suddenly annoy them. Your presence feels less appreciated. Things they once laughed at now trigger eye rolls or short responses. You begin to question yourself, wondering when you became too much, when your existence started to feel heavy instead of comforting. Curiosity fades quietly. They stop asking about your day in a meaningful way. They no longer want to know what you're thinking or feeling. Your dreams, fears, and goals no longer spark interest. You feel seen less, known less, and eventually, almost invisible. Consistency disappears next. One day they are warm and engaged, the next they are distant and cold. Mixed signals keep you emotionally stuck. You hold on to the good moments, hoping they mean something, even as the bad moments become more frequent. This inconsistency keeps you waiting, doubting, and emotionally exhausted. Another painful behavior appears when you stop initiating. When you pull back just a little, nothing comes toward you. Silence grows. Effort disappears. You realize that the connection only exists when you're the one holding it together. They stop reacting to the idea of losing you. Jealousy fades. Concern fades. The thought of you leaving doesn't seem to affect them the way it once did. Not because they trust you more, but because the emotional attachment has weakened. Eventually, you feel it in your body. A tightness in your chest. A heaviness when your phone stays silent. A quiet sadness that settles in moments when you realize you're trying to connect with someone who has already begun to let go. Losing interest rarely comes with honesty. It comes with distance, distraction, and disengagement. It comes with actions that slowly say what words never do. And the hardest part is not realizing they're losing interest, but realizing you've been feeling it for a long time, hoping it wasn't true. Sometimes, people don't leave all at once. they fade. And by the time they're gone, you've already been alone for a while. Thanks for watching, see you in the video.